What's up, everybody? This is Dan for the Fundamentals with another unboxing video. This time we're keeping things spooky as we open up Alien, the role-playing game starter set. Yes, an RPG this time. Not often time you get to unpack an RPG, but this is a starter box. There are all kinds of starter boxes. In fact, I've done one before. If you go to below, you can see my one for Starfinder, that are very, very popular because people are getting into RPGs and learning new ones, but it can be a very, very daunting thing to get into it, learn everything. So, this has been released by Free League, as you can see from their symbol, the Swedish company, as a complete introduction to Alien the RPG, which has been out for a little bit, but this is brand spanking new. It has everything you need to start playing the game. Dice, maps, all that kind of stuff. So let's open her up. You can see Ripley on the front there. So I think it's supposed to be Ripley. I mean, maybe not. We have our base dice. See, in most Free League RPGs, they follow a D6 based system. So rather than a D20 or something, you basically roll these dice, and sixes are successes, and ones are usually failures. Sometimes they're not failures, like in Tales from the Loop. But in Forbidden Lands, a one is like a death. So these are base dice. They're engraved. There's 10 of them. They have a crosshair on the 6. And then we have the stress dice, which you use for other things, because Alien RPG is obviously it's a horror RPG. It's not easy. It's meant to replicate the feeling of being, hunted and murdered by terrifying aliens in space. So you can see these have a failure. 6 is a success. Other ones, and then the 1 is a facehugger. So you get 10 of those and 10 of the base die. That's pretty good. I mean, already pretty good for a starter set. We have a catalog of games from Free League: Alien the RPG, Forbidden Land, Tales from the Loop, some Ballroom, Basin. Keep an eye out for reviews of those coming soon. We have a deck of cards. That 56 of these that represent different things in the game. We have these personal agenda cards that you have as a player. Finding the Cronus is a huge opportunity, even with monsters on board. Find a way to get out from under the corporate yoke with an upgraded ship or enough money to buy a new one. These all tie into the different characters you can play as. Then evidence of infection, infected agenda, note to Lucas. Fascinating. Basically, some of these are a lot more intense. Some of the campaigns and stuff are more intense than others. These are, I believe, these are our pre-generated characters. We've got Morton, the mechanic, who has those abilities, and an incinerator. We've got Pin, the mercenary, Ava 6, who's a synth, Cooper the scientist, and Reed the colonial marine. Terminate all threats to the Cronus crew. Nice. Then we have weapons. We've got the incinerator gun, the Armat M41 AE2 heavy pulse rifle, as seen in Aliens, the Space Sub Harpoon grappling gun, the M42A scope rifle, the Watatsumi DV303 bolt gun, and a 357 Magnum, because you can't not have a big handgun. Then we have our initiative cards, which go 1 through 9. So it's similar to some Free League games. The way initiative works is you just draw a card out of this. So the DM would shuffle it up, and then you would draw a card, and that'd be your initiative order. A lot of them are very storytelling heavy, so initiative is less important than, say, with D&D, so there's less modifiers to it. We have these initiative cards, which are similar. More personal agendas. All the different characters. And then more good. We have Bean, the pilot, Bolaji, the officer, Clayton, the computer agent, Flynn, the medic, Johns, the officer, and look, more guns. M56A2 smart gun. It's kind of cool. Armat phase plasma pulse rifle. Gage as a shotgun. Another pulse rifle. The Rexim RXF M5 Ava pistol. That's weird looking. And an M4A3 service pistol. Pretty bog standard. And they all have on the back information. Range, weight, cost, all that good stuff. So just some player aids for people who don't want to have to go through. Obviously, the full book, we have way more options there. And then we have a map, which I'm always a sucker for maps, which is on a very, let's see. Oh ho, let's see. No, it's raining cardboard. Yeah, so this is a map of the Middle Heavens. You can see all the... And it has that retro sci-fi aesthetic that's very alien. You have to love that. So that is the map. And then flip it over. And it's like battle maps. This is a map of the USCSS Cronus Scientific Exploratory vessel. So it's got all the maps you need to explore this spaceship, which is pre-generated. And then we have, I just pour the rest out. We have some game markers to help you keep track of things, as usual. It is cardboard, but we have tokens that represent different characters. We've got alien tokens. Come on. Come on. Focus. Focus, my good boy. Alien queens, power-up sensors, maneuver, fire weapon, all kinds of little tokens you can use to keep track. Aiming for, you place them on the map of the Cronus to figure out where you are, where objects are, that kind of thing. Then we have the book, the Rulebook. This is a shorter version of the core rulebook, which actually, one second. I have the core rulebook. The core rulebook. Bit of a size difference, but same cover. This is only meant to cover what you need. It is only 104 pages, which has all the rule set you need to get started. Combat, panic, skills, lovely art. It's all very glossy. Watch the story, mother, and behold a great dragon. His tail to the third part of the stars heaven. Your characters, skills, how time and space works, combat, the bare basics, xenomorphs. Obviously, if you're a GM, you're gonna want the big one. If you're an involved player, you want the big one. But for this is perfectly fine and in very high quality. Sometimes these companies like to skimp. They like to skimp out. Also, we have the adventure to play, which is Chariot of the Gods by sci-fi author Andrew E.C. Gaska, which I won't talk too much about because I don't want to do spoilers, but the setup is familiar. A star freighter intercepts a distress signal in the middle of deep space. The company orders the crew to investigate under penalty of total forfeiture of shares. Finding a derelict ship, they discover an alien life form that threatens to kill them, and a member of the crew itself has a corporate-directed agenda to protect it. The particulars of this crime, however, are quite different. So it's like the movie, but different. So it's a cinematic scenario. So a cinematic scenario in these games, they have different ways of playing. A cinematic scenario is a way more guided experience, way more oriented around horror, and kind of, I don't want to say railroading, but it controls the player a little bit more to get the right effect. Because as anyone who's played like a horror D&D game knows, it's easy to ruin the effect with different things. And of course, there's a more open way to play the game. It's a more traditional kind of RPG that leaves more room for player nonsense, let's say. Then we have our characters, which again correspond to those cards that we had. Cham the Roughneck, who's a cargo handler named Lyron Cham. You grew up alone, your parents sold power loaders on the frontier for a living and did not have much time for you. That gives you a bit of backstory. Your talent, which each character has a talent. Like you still have the Wayland-Yutani Corp symbol on them. And the back has your player sheet. Already filled in, well, what you need to fill in with your attributes and stuff. There's other room for gear and weapons and things like that. There's Davis, the pilot, who's 27, who's an adrenaline junkie, and is reckless and must use drugs. Woohoo. Officer Miller, with her cool afro. She's 46 and thrifty, with a talent. She can pull rank on people. Rye, the roughneck. Kayla Rye, she's bitter, and she's in for the long haul. Nice. And finally, Wilson, the corporate liaison. So he's working for the corporations. He's been embedded with the crew. He is ambitious, and he's interested in personal safety because he does not want to die. He is too busy getting that rich man's money. So, all that together, you have a game that should last you for several sessions. A cinematic scenario is sort of like a campaign. But yeah, so I mean, obviously they have room for you to create your own characters. Those cards give you some more options for characters you could play as. Or you could use these, which of course are very, very cool. Anyway, if you want to learn a bit more about Alien the RPG, I'll be giving you a full review of this full rulebook once I've been able to play a couple sessions of it. But if you want to get an idea of how the game works, one of my reviewers covered the cinematic starter kit, cinematic test kit, I guess it was, that was like a pre-release like preview you could play, and there's a full review which I will link down below to give you a slightly better idea of how the game might work. But it's a very neat game. It really captures the feeling of the original and its sequels, and it also allows you to kind of have a mix, because Alien is very, very scary, and Aliens is more of an action movie, and the less said about some of the other ones, the better. But you can currently pick this up from the Free League store, and a few, and if you're from the local game store, they don't have it, have them order it. And of course, a full review of the game, like I said, as soon as I get to play it, and maybe a review of the scenario in here. But until then, happy gaming.